Hey folks, how is it going? It's Nick, Straight Talk Whiskey, here with you as always. I didn't look before doing this live review of which number we're actually on, but today for a St. Patrick's Day 2020 sort of mini review, let's call it, we've got Jameson Cold Brew. Now, I gotta admit, being a big coffee fanatic, I am not one to go and venture off into other places other than, just standard black coffee, nice and hot, no cream, no sugar, that's it, just black as midnight on a moonless night, from Twin Peaks, the old school version. So when I saw Cold Brew came out and heard about it, I thought it was just some other crap that Starbucks had made up and was now trending and everybody else was getting on board with. And until recently, I actually tried it on my own using some coffee that I got from Trade Coffee, and I don't get paid from them. There's no affiliate there, but anyway, used some of their coffee and it was pretty good. I have a coffee maker that sort of lets you put the coffee grounds in there and you can steep it for 7 to 12 hours if you want, and then it sort of just like dumps all the cold brew out, and then you got a like super concentrated cold brew mix. And I tasted it and it was actually pretty good. So I will say I do give a thumbs up for cold brew now. And so again, if you're just joining us, the Jameson Cold Brew limited edition. Again, this is a live review, obviously, or you may be watching this after the fact, because today, sort of a weird day. It's sort of a weird St. Patrick's Day because everything's shut down, basically. Out here in Washington, all the restaurants, all the bars, everything. If you're not getting something takeout, to go, curbside pickup, it's shut down. So the typical thing of where I used to go, sit down in the bar, get some good like traditional Irish food or, something close that they were trying to make, and then have some Guinness and some whiskey, that's just not here this year. So, people all over the world are celebrating a little bit differently. And in fact, I haven't really seen much celebration, if anything. Facebook used to be full of it, happy St. Patrick's Day and this and that, partying. I saw some people on the street with some green shirts, but that was about it. I had my Ireland shirt on, but that was about it. So anyway, we're celebrating a little bit differently. I didn't want to go through the full setup of doing a formal review. Just thought I would come to you live and real. Hope that you're doing well. I know this is a tough time for everybody, really. It's a worldwide thing. So anyway, let's go into the Jameson Cold Brew. So I was kind of surprised. This is bottled at 30% alcohol by volume, and after tasting it, for what it is, I don't think that I would recommend a higher ABV with it, because I know what alcohol can do to coffee in general, because I've tried Irish coffee of different ratios of whiskey, putting some Baileys in there, and whiskey. So I know that once you add too much alcohol, it really just does not taste good at all. So I have to trust that the good folks at Middleton knew what they were doing with the Jameson Cold Brew. So anyway, we've got Jameson Cold Brew, obviously whiskey and coffee. So right there, Jameson Irish whiskey infused with natural cold brew coffee flavor. Now this is interesting, because it's not like they're mixing coffee and whiskey. It's just Jameson Irish whiskey infused with natural cold brew coffee flavor. So I don't know exactly what that means. It would be interesting if somebody who has sort of their finger on Jameson and some folks there, Middleton, know exactly, what is going on there. But, there's flavor right on there. So it's not actually just mixing coffee and whiskey. What else? The only other thing we know about coffee, it says made with roasted Arabica beans from Brazil and Colombia. Best enjoyed chilled over ice or in a cocktail. So, and again, this is a new thing on here, probably for the second time now that I'm actually seeing the nutrition facts on the back of here. I must have missed that rule or legislation that came down about putting the nutrition facts on here, but it's got 70 calories in here, so I better watch myself. I only had 2 bananas today, if anybody's interested in my diet today. That's not by choice, that's sort of by necessity. But anyway, let's get into sort of a review here. We'll wrap it up and you can continue on your day. I promise I'll have something later. You know, it won't be a review, but I'll have, you know, Redbreast 21, or usually my go-to sipping is Powers John's Lane. I love it. It's probably one of my favorite Irish whiskeys. And then I may hit some of the spot whiskeys, but we'll be sticking to the single pot still Irish whiskeys tonight. So anyway, you can see it almost looks like a beer, at least how I'm viewing this on the camera. And it kind of does look like coffee, and it's got a little bit of hint of the red. It's probably the last, you know, fading rays of sunlight pouring through the window that make it a little bit of this reddish tint. So give it a little bit of a reminiscence of Guinness, but obviously there's nothing in here related to it. So, like I said before, I think they got the proportion right. I think they got the alcohol volume in here, the 30% ABV, right. You get all the great hints of the coffee. It's a dark, milk chocolatey, nutty coffee. And it's not fruity in any sense, which I think was a good choice to pair with the Jameson. And then you just get a little bit of a hint of the Jameson. It sort of sits in the center of the tongue, but not overly so. You know, it's a good combination, and it's kind of like drinking an Irish coffee, except that it's not hot, you know, Irish cold brew. Which I didn't really want to say because, you know, anytime you say Irish before something, it usually indicates to most people that you're putting whiskey in it, or Irish whiskey in it, but such as doesn't always have to be the case. But didn't get into the nose before. There's not much of a nose that I get off of it, just a faint aroma of coffee, but it's kind of weak, to be honest. So but anyway, limited edition. Might be worth checking out if, you know, you feel like you've got to check out everything that Jameson has to offer, all the expressions that they release. Not something that I would probably go and buy again, just not my game. You know, if I wanted something like this, I would just make it myself. I would make some cold brew, and then I would put some other Jameson in there. You know, probably some of the collaborations with like Bellbreaker IPA or some of the cask mates version might be interesting. But, well, maybe not Bellbreaker, maybe like a stout edition with coffee at least. But anyway, my my hand is getting tired, so we're gonna end this review. Again, tough times are out there, but I hope you've got a good stockpile on whiskey. I hope you're enjoying yourself, and have a great St. Patrick's Day. Have a great rest of the week. And as always, if you're going to drink, drink responsibly, and we will see you next time.